Live from Adelaide, this is 7 News with Gertie Spurling.
Good afternoon. We begin this hour with extraordinary pictures. The rescue of 2 police officers trapped inside a cage car after a frightening crash in the city's north. Witnesses say the vehicle was rushing to a job when it struck a curb at Lightsview and clipped a car before flipping onto its side. The 2 officers were lifted out through a side window. Fortunately, no one was injured and police are now investigating. We'll have full details in our main bulletin at 6. Now to another petrol price shock, with the cost of unleaded now nudging $2.14 at some outlets across the city. Fuel retailers with cheaper prices are in hot demand, with massive queues forming outside Costco at Kilburn, where petrol is still under $1.90. Former ACCC chairman and economics professor Alan Fells believes some motorists are paying up to 10 cents more than they should, and it's likely to only get worse.
There'll start to be hoarding, filling up jerry cans, tanks. That will make it easier for retailers and others to put prices up.
And the Premier's made a promise on petrol price monitoring if Labor is re-elected. More on that at 6. And Peter Malinauskas admits his government made an unacceptable blunder after releasing an email falsely attributed to a dead cancer patient. On Friday, Stephen King's distraught widow said her partner spent his final hours ramped at the Royal Adelaide. The Health Minister's office then tried to defend the hospital system by releasing a glowing reference from who it thought was the same man, only to learn it was a different patient with an identical name.
Even if it was the right Steve, it was kind of a little bit low to send an email out without my knowledge to some journalists.
I'm not going to defend it. I mean, because that was an error made by a group of people that should have done double and triple checking, plain and simple.
The Health Minister has arranged a meeting with Ms Patterson to discuss Stephen's case this week. Police are pleading for an end to the carnage with 3 road deaths in South Australia in just over 24 hours. As Grace Wallace reports, a 37-year-old man from Spurling is the latest victim.
It's been a devastating long weekend with a motorcyclist the latest casualty after a crash here at this Evanston intersection. Just after 6:30 last night, a Harley-Davidson collided with a 4-wheel drive. Witnesses Bailey and Imogen were among the first on the scene, rushing to help before paramedics arrived.
There was another few people there that were on the phone to the ambulance, and they wanted them to start CPR.
The rider, a 37-year-old man, couldn't be saved. The driver of the Toyota, a 77-year-old man, wasn't injured. He's been reported for causing death by careless driving and has lost his licence.
Pretty confronting. We couldn't get it out of our heads for a while.
The crash is one of 3 fatalities across the state this long weekend. The first on Friday afternoon at Cheltenham, claiming the life of 40-year-old Victor Zayaskis, a passionate poker player. His devastated community posting a tribute online. Yesterday morning at Loxton, a 23-year-old man from Barmera died when his station wagon crashed into a stone wall. Police say it's been a disappointing weekend. They're pleading with all road users to take better care. The rider's death is the 18th life lost on our state's roads this year.
The war in the Middle East is intensifying, with multiple fresh attacks exploding overnight. The US and Israel targeting sites inside Iran, wiping out an oil refinery near Tehran. A dramatic attack near Dubai airport briefly stopping flights from the UAE. Australians on their way home witnessing the strikes, escaping just in time. Jacqueline Robson has the latest.
Well, there are apocalyptic type scenes emerging from Tehran after a number of oil refineries were struck by US and Israeli attacks, believed to be from fighter jets. There are 3 separate areas, and you can see in the video there are incredible plumes of smoke and fire as people watch on in horror. The US president had warned areas not previously targeted would become the focus. Today saying Iran had been beat to hell, claiming that's why Iran's president made that extraordinary statement apologising to Gulf nations who had been copping hits from Iran's retaliation. Now, despite that apology, Iran's strikes on neighbours just keep coming. Reports are emerging that the 23 Marina Tower in Dubai has been hit by a drone and is now smoking. Earlier, the Dubai airport was hit and a driver was killed from falling shrapnel following an interception. So any hope that apology would lead to some kind of de-escalation has virtually dried up. The statement itself likely the result of building diplomatic pressure from Iran's neighbouring countries. But Iran's foreign minister has once again promised not to surrender. Lebanon continues to be battered by Israel, who's trying to beat down Hezbollah. The Israeli Prime Minister putting extra pressure on the Lebanese government to disarm the militia and return to the ceasefire struck in 2024. The death toll there is now well above 300. In Iran, it is exceeding 1,000 people killed. Benjamin Netanyahu gave an address here tonight saying there are still more surprises and targets to come, showing that this conflict is certainly not slowing down.
The Albanese government is weighing up requests from the Middle East to help in the defence against Iranian drone and missile strikes. National Security Editor Tim Lester has the details.
There may be a military role for Australia in the Middle East conflict after all. The Albanese government had ruled out Australian forces playing any role in the strikes led by the US and Israel on Iran. Well, now Foreign Affairs Minister Penny Wong has said there may be a defensive part to play.
We've had that many countries which are non-participants have been attacked by Iran through this. You would anticipate as a consequence that we have been asked for assistance, and we will work through that carefully.
The minister says the requests look to Australian military protection against Iran's drone and missile attacks.
Correct, and we will work through that in accordance with the position I have outlined, which is we are not participating in offensive action against Iran.
As well, the minister has countered Donald Trump's recent suggestion that he, the US president, had to be involved in the selection of a new Iranian leader.
The future for Iran and its governance ultimately is a decision for the Iranian people, and that's not just a values judgment, it's also a pragmatic judgment.
Defence experts say there's not a great deal the Australian military could offer Gulf countries to protect against drone and missile attacks from Iran. That said, the minister's confirmation today suggests that the Albanese government is taking the requests seriously.
Donald Trump has blasted UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer for not sending military help earlier. Europe correspondent Ben Downey has more.
The HMS Prince of Wales, the flagship of the Royal Navy, its crew has been ordered to prepare to deploy within 5 days for potential military action as the war in Iran intensifies. The aircraft carrier, which hosts F-35 jets, typically has a 2-week deployment window. This is seen as a clear sign Britain is preparing for the conflict to be drawn out, as it also sends 4 Typhoon fighters to Qatar. The Prince of Wales is stationed in Portsmouth alongside the HMS Dragon, a guided missile destroyer expected to set sail for the eastern Mediterranean this week after RAF base Akrotiri on Cyprus suffered multiple drone attacks. But before the vessels have even left port, they've already come under fire from Donald Trump, posting, "The United Kingdom, our once great ally, maybe the greatest of them all, is finally giving serious thought to sending 2 aircraft carriers to the Middle East. That's okay, Prime Minister Starmer," he writes. "We don't need them any longer, but we will remember we don't need people that join wars after we've already won."
Give me the offer to send 2 aircraft carriers. Maybe, but they're not sure. We don't need them. It's not the right time. It would have been nice to have had them 2 weeks ago.
Despite that shot across the bow, the US president appears to continue to be all too happy to use British RAF bases, flying his B-1 bombers out of RAF Fairford in Gloucestershire. UK-US relationship continuing to fall to new lows.
Oscar Piastri's hopes of winning the Grand Prix appear to be over before they began. The hometown hero losing control and crashing out on the warm-up lap. Despite the heartbreak, the real race for fans began hours earlier. Jordan Quinn is there.
Good afternoon. Well, there is so much excitement here at Albert Park as Formula One fans poured in for race day at the Australian Grand Prix. But this morning it was a race for these fans to get pole position at Melbourne Walk so they could meet the drivers as they arrived for the big day. They signed autographs and looked very composed, but Oscar Piastri is certainly the fan favourite. We caught up with his boss, Zach Brown, the CEO of McLaren Racing.
Yeah, excited. You know, want to see how these cars race. I think we've got two awesome racing drivers. Hometown boy. He's done a great job all weekend, as has Lando, so we'll see how things go and whether anyone's capable of catching Mercedes this weekend or not.
Mercedes looking pretty good. They got P1 and 2, but McLaren could come back from behind, not sure. Leclerc's going to win today.
Well, we're hoping for Oscar. Come on, home win. Come on, we need it.
The popularity of Formula One has absolutely exploded in recent years. There are now more than 825 million fans worldwide, and that has driven this year's attendance. Organisers say we are on track to break the record of 465 million over the 4 days. We'll have an update on that, plus the full race wrap tonight in the news at 6.
The election pitch to make IVF more affordable. Who would be eligible? That's next. And Harry and Meghan reveal their plans to visit Australia, where they'll be heading. If elected, a state Liberal government's promising to make IVF more affordable. Women with an annual household income less than $250,000 will be eligible for a $2,000 rebate per cycle.
We know that there are so many barriers to starting a family, and we don't want cost to be one of them.
The rebate can be claimed on 2 rounds of IVF. Thousands have taken to the street in Washington in a huge show of support for the war in the Middle East. As Rob Scott reports, Iranians are hopeful that the country will soon be free.
Well, scenes of celebration here in Washington, D.C. today as thousands of Iranian immigrants took to the streets, marching, revelling in what they hope is the downfall of the repressive regime. Singing, dancing and waving flags, the overriding emotions here today, happiness, joy and hopefulness. All of them grateful for Donald Trump's decision to authorise Operation Epic Fury.
We are happy that this regime, this brutal mafia-style regime, is about to go. Very glad and thank Mr. Trump for doing this.
We are marching for Iran and we are thanking President Trump for helping Iranian people. Finally, they have a voice.
But it was a day of dueling protests with a separate group condemning Donald Trump's actions, saying he's too quick to flex America's military muscles.
The war is completely illegal. We don't want it.
This is all so wrong. All of it is so wrong.
All of this as the President, the Vice President and the First Lady attended a sombre service to welcome home the bodies of the 6 American service members killed in an Iranian drone strike in Kuwait in the early days of this war. Donald Trump now threatening to escalate the war in Iran and go after people and places, he says, until now he hadn't thought about targeting.
Prince Harry and wife Meghan are reportedly planning a trip down under within weeks. It comes more than 7 years after their hugely popular royal tour. It's understood the pair could be visiting Sydney and Melbourne in mid-April. The trip is said to focus on their business ventures and charity work. It's not known whether their children Archie and Lilibet will join them. After the break, sport with ABBA as a Port Rising star has a new fitness regime to get to the next level. And it's bad news for the Lions, with the skipper learning his fate for this hit.
Good afternoon. Port Adelaide small forward Joe Berry has told 7 News the steps he's taken to take his game to the next level this year. The 19-year-old was given a blunt message on the physical requirements needed to become a regular under new coach Josh Carr.
Yeah, a lot of gym, obviously, a lot of food, ate a lot of food, still continue to eat a lot of food. And then, yeah, just kind of working with a few people back home that are pretty knowledgeable in that space.
We'll have more from Berry in 7 News at 6. The Bulldogs pulled off an almighty comeback to beat back-to-back premiers Brisbane in an opening round classic. Trailing by 26 points late in the third quarter at the Gabba, the Dogs clawed back.
A shake off, danced, bounce, back inside.
and has hammered it home.
The Bulldogs kicked 7 goals in the final term to grab a 111-106 win. Lions co-captain Harris Andrews has been rubbed out for 3 weeks for concussing Artie Jones with a swinging arm.
He's a tough kid, he's hard-boned. It must have been a hard hit for him to be hurt.
In Sydney, the injury-plagued Giants upset Hawthorn by 27 points. Oscar Piastri's season has begun in the worst possible fashion, crashing out before the Australian Grand Prix had even begun. The Aussie had troubles with the new configuration of his car and hit the wall in the warm-up lap.
To see Oscar Piastri on the lap to the grid has lost it and sustained significant damage to his car.
Mercedes driver George Russell started on pole and duelled with Ferrari's Charles Leclerc early for the lead before getting away to take victory in the first race of the year.
He's not looked like letting it go, and George Russell wins the Australian Grand Prix and starts 2026 in absolute flying fashion.
And in the supercars, it was a nightmare for Brock Feeney at the first corner. Brody Kostecki was out in front, avoiding the carnage behind to win his third race of the week in Melbourne. Australia's on the verge of sealing the one-off test and multi-format series against India. Annabelle Sutherland became the first Aussie woman to hit 4 test centuries, posting 129 as the hosts were all out for 323 in Perth last night. India made up the 125-run first innings deficit, forcing the hosts to bat again on day 3, but will need a miracle to set a big run chase.
Beautiful bowling, Ash Gardner.
Coverage continues on 7mate and 7plus. The Matildas have gone through their final preparations before taking on South Korea in the Asian Cup in Sydney tonight. Australia needs to win to finish on top of Group A. Fellow title contenders Japan thrashed tournament minnows India in Perth last night.
Chance to finish at the near balls taken into double figures. Riko Ueki.
The Japanese won, believe it or not, 11-0, securing back-to-back wins. 1.5 billion people, 11-0. Doesn't compute to me, Gertie. Anyway, we'll have plenty more in 7 News at 6 with Smitho.
Great. Thank you so much, Bruce. Well, stay with us. I'll have the latest details on your long weekend weather forecast after the break.
Hello Australia, this week on Sunrise a special medical alert with whooping cough cases at a record high, how to spot the early signs and protect your family. Also, one sporting icon meets another. Chevo sits down with NBA legend Steph Curry for his only Aussie interview.
With me?
Oh, you wish.
And the return of 2 Summer Bay favourites, secrets from the set of Home and Away's epic Western Australia event.
Once a river boy, always a river boy.
Start with Sunrise on 7.
Mike Smithson has our main bulletin at 6. And Smitho, what have you got?
Well, Gertie, police are investigating a serious incident involving one of their own cage cars. We have dramatic pictures from the moments after when the officers gingerly climbed out. How's this for the worst neighbours at night? We all thought the Bay Tram upgrade works were finished. No, they're not. We'll tell you why. A top-level call for Australian assistance from countries under attack from Iran. And the 100 family-friendly fringe events on offer across the state. Where do you get it? Find out at 6. Thanks, Gertie.
Thanks, Smitho. Well, to the weather now, and after a grey start to the day, it was a mostly sunny afternoon across much of the state. In the city, the temperature dropped to 12 degrees shortly before 7. We hit a top of 26 around 4 this afternoon. Right now, it's 25. Around the country, a low-pressure trough is generating heavy rain and storms across parts of central and southeastern parts of Queensland. A low developing off the coast is driving even more moisture to those areas. Almost 20 millimetres has fallen in Brisbane, currently 23 there. Similar falls in Sydney, most are clear in Melbourne, sitting on 26. Warm in Perth, right now it's 32. A high is strengthening south of the Bight and maintaining the dry, warm conditions over our state. Clear skies across the far north tomorrow, reaching 34 in Maree and Coober Pedy, 32 for Roxby, 29 for Port Augusta. Morning fog patches about coastal districts, staying dry apart from isolated light showers about southern coast. 26 for Whyalla, 27 for Clare, 31 for Renmark, 23 for Edithburgh. Morning fog for Mount Gambier, 24 the forecast top. And there's a flood warning for inland rivers with heavy rain in Queensland expected to elevate levels again. In the city, down to 13 degrees overnight. 27 is the forecast top for the public holiday. Sunny with winds dropping in the evening, heating up later in the week. The details in the full forecast tonight. And that's all the news for now. Mike Smithson will have all the day's top stories at 6 o'clock. From me, bye for now.
The 7 News app will give you the news you want every minute of every day, including breaking news alerts. Download the 7 News app now.